Sade is back, everybody, with Young Lion, and it's a very poignant, a very personal song, and it's brought her in, when you think about it, out of semi-retirement. She's always been about doing tours, doing special singles, and intimate showcases or guest appearances, but she's still being elusive, and she's one of those people that when I was growing up, every single person loved her. And I had a friend that had the same hair, a long plait, and went round, and we used to call her Sade. Now people say Sade, other people pronounce it, but I'm going to say Sade. I loved just the sound of it. Young Lion is about her son. It's about sexual identity, and it's beautifully, beautifully sung. It's fresh in the sense that she gives an insight into his life, video clips. It's all in there in the video. That's why it's poignant in the sense that it's coming from her heart. When you think of Cher and Chaz, her son, and when you think, he came into the life as a girl but wanted to be a guy and transcended into a guy, and when you think of Madonna, who's embraced all her dancers, all the people around her who have different sexual identities, and always does the group prayer before she goes on stage. And the family she's built up over the years, Madonna, has been incredible. But when it touches you personally, when you do have that moment of, well, my son wants to become a woman, or my daughter wants to become a man, or they're just in that moment, just not knowing which road to take, it's great to be a supportive parent. And there's nothing like writing a song about it. I wish I had a song written about me, but I'm sure my mother would have said, he talks too much, and it would have had a chorus, something like that. But either way, I am from the gay community. I know that there's a lot of people struggling about identity. I grew up with, you're either gay or straight. And I know that there's a lot of controversy in America because of what people are terming what's happening with trans. And I'm not going to get into all of that on this. I'm going to keep it to Sade's music. But, the song itself is beautiful. I've just looked at the lyrics. And the meaning is about Sade carrying a heartfelt message about that kind of resilience when you're going through this as a young person. Unconditional love is needed. She talks about the identity, particularly in the context of the struggles faced by young individuals, because she would have learnt a lot from her son informing her of his situation and what point he's at in his life, and then the people around him that makes him feel comfortable and being introduced to that side of things. So it's about the path in this complex world of gender identity, and the song serves as a tender tribute, not only to her son, who is, by the way, called Isaac Theo Adu, but also resonates with anyone who's felt isolated or burdened by their circumstances. I've got to say, when it came to identity, I'm a gay man myself, I never found any problems because my parents were so supportive. I knew when I was young, and I just knew, and that was it. And I grew up, and I lived in a time when the 70s, 80s were more about expressing yourself. I was coming to the end of the 70s when I came out to myself and I knew what I was. But it wasn't like I got excited, when I was young in the shower room with my naked friends. It was nothing absurd like, for me that would be absurd, but it was nothing like that. It was more to do with, I just knew I wasn't interested in girls, even though I had, tasted the water as regards having a girlfriend or two. But it was puppy love. And when it became real love, I realized it was a man. My father shook my hand, and I remember when I wanted to sit down and actually say the words to him and unburden myself, he shook my hand and he said, you just sit there while I tell you this. There has been many people in the village saddened by the deaths of their sons. and I'm sure some of them daughters, all to do with sexuality and all to do with they felt they didn't fit in, so they took their own lives. And I'm just glad you didn't ever think about that to take yours. And I said no. Because my parents were so secure in themselves and supportive with us, they believed in us being ourselves and living the life to the best in the way we can and in the best possible way we can. And they just showed it in their actions by hugging me and saying, it's fine. Now, of course, my mother said, well, to be honest, when you first put on your sister's dress and danced around the room with my makeup on you, I kind of thought, not quite the football image I had in my head because you're such a tall, broad guy. But she said, but I got through it. And now you telling me this? Well, I'm your mother. And mothers always know. When you were born, I was a bit disappointed I didn't have a daughter. So there you go. But maybe I got it in other ways, and she did. So that was my upbringing, and that's my introduction coming into this, because that is what Sade is touching about. Through her soothing voice, these lyrics are conveyed. It's reassuring. It's about empowerment, this, everybody. It's urging you, the listener, who has a friend in that situation that's finding it difficult, to be that best friend that you can possibly be to get them through those, a lot of the fears is inside their heads. Because today's generation is not like my generation. We had to hide it. I just didn't speak about it. I was tall and broad and I could fight. So not many people picked on a big tall guy in the class and said, oh, we know you're gay. Nobody ever said that to me. I just kept quiet. I grew up knowing my parents are okay with it. I'm young. I'll deal with it when I get older. I'm not going to be any different than I am now. I am what I am. I really did come to that conclusion when I was 11 or 12. So it's about embracing, and it's about helping that person, whoever they are, whoever you know, even if it's like Sade, her son, finding their true selves in the face of adversity, but being there for them. That's what it's about. We're going to listen now and enjoy. Welcome back, Sade, to the music scene. Millions of people will be, oh, she's back, she's back. Well, she is back. This time she's a story to tell. Watch. Hopefully you'll learn. And hopefully at the end of the video, you'll smile as brightly as her son.
Young man, it's been so heavy for you. You must have felt so alone. The anguish and pain, I should have known. With such a heavy burden, you had to carry all on your own. Forgive me, son. I should have known. So close your eyes, open wide, and feel the light. Arms open wide. You shine like a sun, shine like a sun. Young gun, see how far you've come.
Oh my God, that was epic. A masterpiece in filming. Whoever filmed that and edited that and put that together, I'd say it was the son, I'd say it was Sade. I think it's so personal. It just bang, it just hits you emotionally. It's full of emotion. I'm actually blown away with it. It's brilliant. In the lyrics, the phrases, it's been so heavy for you that you've heard. And you must have felt so alone. Highlight the emotional weight and loneliness that can accompany personal struggles. Particularly when you think when the child keeps it to themselves. I kept it to myself, but I watched my parents with different people as I grew up. And I remember very distinctly, this is an example, but it's not about sexuality, it's about identity and being different and expressing yourself. And my mother said to me one day, and this was in England when I was being reared there, and she said, come with me into Chester, but we'll get the train today because I'm going to do a bit of shopping and I want you to help your mother. And we had a fold-up pram. And anyway, we went into Chester, we did the shopping, and on the way back, there was two people sitting on the train that had Mohican, really long hair style, and she said to me, isn't that amazing how many people are avoiding them and won't talk to them? And don't you ever do that, she said to me. There before the grace of God go I. You remember that saying, and I've never forgotten it. And that's for, you know, if you see somebody ill or see somebody different or witness something, just, it's more or less saying, God will protect me in this moment, or God will keep me calm, or God won't make me judgmental. That kind of, it's a saying for many things. So we sat in front of this couple, and they smiled because we didn't ignore them. We started to speak to them. And at the end of the journey, she said to me, you never know who you meet in life, but I want you to learn from this train journey today, son, that we're all different. You, me, your father, all of us, your sisters, we all grow up to be different. And you know the one thing that keeps us together? And I said, what is it, Mum? And she said, treating somebody as a human being, always, will always see you good in life. Like, look what we learned from that couple today. He's doing computers and she works as a nurse, and they've got those hairstyles. Isn't that amazing? And the amount of work it goes in to do those hairstyles. So on the way home, I listened to my mum talking about the colourful hair of the Mohican hairstyle. So, you know, when it comes to loneliness, I never experienced it, everybody. I always had a supportive mother. So, but it talks about that, about gender identity, and that's what she's singing about. And the mention of shining like your sun signifies that hope and brightness within Sade, suggesting that despite the challenges faced already by herself, by the son, accepting, taking it day by day, week by week, month by month, and there is always a hope, or maybe my child will change back. But there's no going back. You have to move forward with the child. And it's about carrying that and the complexity of that when others can judge the child for whatever way they feel. And you being worried about where will they fit in this world. You know, societal norms, which really has destroyed society. So it speaks about those inner resources to find the strength and get through it. The metaphorical language of the video and showing those clips and seeing such a person's side to Sade and especially the story of, you know, the son, is about finding oneself as a parent in a situation like that almost. And almost sharing that. We had the baptism, we had the growing up as the normal child. But there you go. And in the car next to him, when he was smiling and he was looking in a snowy situation, there was a doll. And I loved the way there was just enough of it, even at that time, to say, well, my son finds comfort in having a doll next to him. It's those tidbits that give it away, but it's also in the video, those little bits that will help somebody in a similar situation. And it's about acceptance that illuminates the path forward in life, isn't it? Metaphorically in your head, whether it be through prayer, through song like this. And it's aligning those movements of transgender awareness and acceptance. Now, I do have acceptance, but the only issue I have with transgenderism is personal, and it causes such rows. But I actually don't want to get into this. But it's about, I do accept my friends who are transgender. I have transgender artists on my channel who sing. I'm accepting of that. But there is a barrier, I feel, where even I, as a gay person, because of my Christian background, there's almost a conflict with my transgender friends over them changing in the same changing rooms as girls when down below is still a man. I have an issue with that, but that's me to deal with over the years. And I have to go through my journey with that as well. And it's also, awareness and acceptance, particularly to non-profit situations like charities who support transgenderism and organisations supporting these causes. So it's a wonderful video. And thank you for sharing all of that with us today. Just strong messages. Now, the summary I have for this would be it's a profound exploration of love, identity and resilience. Even when people say, oh, we live in better times, look around you. There's wars still throughout the world. There's disharmony. People can't put food on the table. We're going almost back to a warlike situation of the 40s. And our great-grandparents and stories that we've heard is coming back to haunt us. What they suffered, we're suffering. And then when you've got the sexual identity, it's a lot for a lot of people. And some choose that suicide way out because they can't cope. But when you're supportive like Sade, when you're supportive like my parents, and I'm going to mention famous people like Cher, like Madonna, when you've got your own Madonnas and Chers in your life who are supporting you, you'll get through it. And thank God for them. Because Sade not only expresses support for her son, but also sends a very strong message to you all out there, that and hopefully individually reassuring you that they possess the strength to overcome any difficulty they have. But just remember, it's one of life's challenges, but you'll get through it. And ultimately, I think that piece serves as a celebration of authenticity, urging young people to shine brightly and confidentially as they carve out their own paths, to remember that when they find difficulty in their lives and the whole issue and people and workplace and all of that, that they can and they will get through it. Make that your new chant, and you will. Thanks for listening, everybody. It's a bit of a long video, but the minute I seen it on YouTube this evening, I had to make this because I had my own message in support of Sade in this video. So take care. Bye-bye.